Hi, thanks for joining a new video. Today I'll be unboxing the Galaxy Z Flip7. Let's begin. This is the new Samsung vertical format foldable device that has evolved significantly in the external display. We will see it in a moment, but first let me tell you its price, which in Mexico has been launched at 28,499 pesos, exclusively in the 512 GB version. On the screen, you see the reference price in dollars, just to give you an idea, although remember that the prices here are not the same as those there. Consider that in this pre-sale stage, during the first days, it will be priced at 25,499 pesos, and in the description, I'll leave you a coupon for 10% additional. Discount that you can use to make the price 22,949 pesos, plus they give you 5 times more points so you can then buy some other things in the Samsung Mexico store. Having said all that, let's open the box to meet directly with the cell phone and get to know its specifications. So, what we are going to do now is remove this protective layer that is glued onto the box. I didn't manage it very well the first time, so let's try the other side and see if we can do it better this time. It can be. Okay, I apologize, I had to open it a bit messily. Let's see if I can do a better job with the bottom side this time. There it is. Well, I'm being a bit messy with my unboxing process. Now, let's take off the cover, and here we find the device in its flagship blue color for this generation. Let's go ahead and take it out of the box, carefully removing these protective plastics, including the one on the internal screen, and then we can proceed to turn on the device. It's important to note that there isn't much to find in the box. This section doesn't contain any additional items. However, in this other section, we will indeed find a bit more. But don't get too excited, as we will just discover the key to remove the tray, followed by the very simplified quick guide, which is included. Finally, the USB-C to USB-C cable. It lacks a charger or a case, but in Mexico you can use a Samsung store coupon to get a 25-watt charger included, which is useful. Alright, I've set up the device here to explore its specs. It's 6.5mm thick when unfolded, and when folded, 13.7mm. It weighs a total of 188 grams, which means it's slightly heavier compared to the previous generation. Unfortunately, they haven't succeeded in making it lighter this time around. However, they have incorporated a significantly larger external display, featuring super thin and minimized bezels. This gives it a truly modern appearance, making it very well suited for front use. Additionally, it maintains the IP48 rating in this instance. This feature ensures it is completely resistant to exposure from fresh water and a variety of certain particles. However, it is important to note that it does not offer complete resistance to fine dust particles. This display is 4.1 inches with resolution of 1048 x 948 pixels with a variable refresh rate from 60 to 120 Hz. In this case, we are talking about a Super AMOLED display. Out here, it comes protected with Gorilla Glass Victus 2, just like on the back. So the best screen is on the inside, where we find Dynamic AMOLED 2X with a refresh rate from 1 to 120 Hz, and in this case it is 6.9 inches. It's a real screen, very large with a resolution of 2520 times 1080 pixels. Now with a 21:9 ratio, so it resembles traditional format devices when deployed, though it's still slightly taller. The manufacturer keeps stereo sound with one speaker below and one in the earpiece area for calls. The front camera is 10 megapixels with an f aperture of 2.2, fixed focus and 85 degrees wide. It is definitely not an attractive camera, but remember that in this type of folding flip type, it is advisable to use these external cameras to take selfies of much better quality. Here we will find a 12 megapixel ultra-wide camera with f2.2 aperture. And then there's the main 50 megapixel camera, which features autofocus, optical stabilization, and an f1.8 aperture. I definitely believe that the ultra-wide camera could perform better, especially if it had autofocus, which would provide better quality for macro photography. From my perspective, it would be significantly better to place the 200 megapixel sensor in the main camera, as this would enhance the zoom capabilities quite a bit. However, as is often the case, let's go ahead and take a look at several screenshots and images. You'll notice that when capturing selfies using the external display, the preview appears to be well optimized, and the resulting images also look quite advanced. Additionally, keep in mind that you have the option to use the ultra-wide camera, which also produces excellent results. By default, the pictures are in a square proportion, although you can set it to be a bit wider if you prefer. When using the internal front camera, Be aware that the preview might not be fully optimized. However, the final result is well balanced in terms of lights and shadows, and honestly, I really like it. Now, let's take a look at a small gallery or a carousel of photos. Here, we have the ultra-wide camera, which certainly offers good quality. Next up is the main camera, which provides us with excellent detail, vibrant color, and strong contrast when in these optimal lighting conditions. Then we have the 2x zoom, which is digital, yet it appears to maintain optical quality quite well. Honestly, it looks quite good. Now you're viewing the photograph with the 4x zoom, where from my perspective, the device continues to perform exceptionally well in terms of detail level it can achieve, so its digital zoom is of very high quality. Actually, at this point, you're viewing the maximum zoom it offers, which is 10x, and honestly, it looks quite impressive. I believe that in terms of zoom, it can compete quite effectively with other flip-style devices, even those equipped with a telephoto camera. Naturally, it also boasts excellent video recording abilities. Here, you're observing 60 frames per second, and I'm capturing this with the external screen, making it quite suitable for blogging purposes. The quality of the video appears to be quite good, even when there are backlit conditions. It's important to note that it performs effectively without overexposing the areas behind the subject. However, the shadowed areas might be slightly darker than I would prefer. Overall, I believe it performs well. We will provide a more comprehensive and detailed review in the near future. The battery capacity is 4,300 mAh. In this regard, there has been a significant evolution. These could also explain why they haven't made the device lighter. However, I don't think anyone minds it being slightly heavier than the previous generation if it means we get a longer battery life. So, in this case, the battery life is expected to improve quite significantly. Additionally, it supports wired charging at 25 watts, wireless charging at 15 watts, and also includes reverse wireless charging capabilities. On the software side of things, it comes pre-installed with One UI 8 and Android 16 right out of the box. This ensures you have the latest updates from both Android and Google, along with the newest features available. Furthermore, new controls have been added for the camera on the external part, allowing us to, for instance, slide to adjust the zoom, which was not possible previously. There are some nice details, like when recording video, it shows animations on the screen, such as a countdown or this red tone to indicate it's recording, which looks great. These software details enhance the experience, especially with One UI 8. And of course, you also get the present in this section, alongside other functionalities like the Now Brief, which provides us with a quick overview of our day, offering suggestions and various other features through proactive artificial intelligence. But naturally, right here on the Neo bar, we will also have the ability to place the timer or similar features. For instance, if we initiate a voice recording, the controls will show up here as well, along with other applications. So, those are just some of the new features it includes through the software. Of course, in the complete review, I will provide you with all the details I discovered through the software. In this particular case, it comes equipped with 12 GB of RAM, and there are options for either 256 or 512 GB of storage available though. In Mexico, just the 512 gigabytes version will be available, so I have a special edition. Tighter in storage, but I insist in Mexico is the most extended version. Finally, the processor is the Exynos 2500, which is somewhat controversial. Not everyone is pleased to hear it's an Exynos, but we can gauge its performance here. On Geekbench, it scored 2,222 points for single core and 7,673 points for multi-core. Well, it's not quite at the level of the Snapdragon 8 Elite, but it is indeed a rather powerful processor. Given that flip devices like this have never been primarily aimed at gamers or similar audiences, I believe it will offer sufficient power for most of its users. Considering the typical use cases for these devices, it should meet the needs of the vast majority of people who choose to use it. But well, out of curiosity, here is also the result of Antutu, where he got 17,56,041 points. I think it was not bad. I insist it will not be the most powerful of today or anything like that, but it is a really very powerful processor with plenty of power for most users and hopefully have good energy efficiency and zero heating, but that we can only find out in a more detailed review. For now, it's just been an unboxing and we've reached the end. I hope you liked it. Soon, we'll have the full review to explore this device in depth. If you enjoyed this video, let us know and we'll see you next time.